So, you guys ever do some really dumb shit when you were a kid? I'm talking like the weirdest, most regrettable things that you don't even talk about these days. Or if you do, you look back at it and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? Right? And a lot of us have tokens of those memories, whether it be scars, lifelong injuries, broken bones, siblings. A lot of accidents happen. And so this story is about, well, I should say these stories, but the first story is about a time is when I was at my house with my friend. We're gonna call this kid Nick. His name was not Nick, but we're gonna call him Nick. So Nick and I've got two beds in my room. I've got one on the left for me and one on the right for if I have any friends sleep over, right? And we're just jumping from bed to bed, having a good old time, beat a bunch of kids. And the way these beds work is I've got the mattress on top and the box spring underneath. Or something underneath, I don't know. Anyways, and it's held in place by the bed frame. But the way this bed frame works is there's like these metal hooks that stick out. And they are what's holding it in place. They like protrude upward so that it doesn't slide around too much. But the thing is I'm sitting here trying to jump from bed to bed, and I get scared. I think I'm not going to make the distance. So I pull back, but my body still goes forward. You ever have that moment where you do something and you try to pull out of it, but it's too late and you can't stop, and your body's already in the motion, so you just got to do it, and you just do it? Yeah, that was me. And my left shin, just drives into this spike. Just absolutely, boom, drives into it. And I let out a blood-curdling scream. Nick looks at me like I'm crazy. And then I yell out for my dad. And eventually, Nick goes and gets my dad. He comes upstairs, takes me to the bathroom. And he looks at it, sees basically my bone and flesh sticking through this now gaping hole in my leg. And you know what he does? He gives me a Spider-Man Band-Aid. I mean, that's just dads for you right there. Like, what? And I was like, Dad, what am I meant to do with this? I need something more. And he's like, you want two? Like, bruh, are you joking? Two? Wow, thank you, Dad. I would have liked to go to the hospital, but yeah, Band-Aids, that works. Alright, second story. So, I had this friend, we're gonna call him, what's a good name? Lex. His name's not Lex. It's not Luther either, but we're just gonna call him Lex. Okay. So me and Lex, we live on a street, or he used to live here, he doesn't live here anymore. On our street, it's basically just your typical neighborhood, just with a bunch of houses going down the street, right? We have scooters, and we're riding our scooters around. We get to the bottom of the street, and there's a house. And don't ask me why, I don't know. But we get the brilliant idea to literally ram our scooters, while being on them, ram into the garage of one of these houses. Now, why did we think that was a good idea? I don't know. But we did. Over and over and over. And eventually, we didn't even realize, we thought nobody was home because nobody was coming out, I guess. And we're ramming and ramming and ramming into this garage until eventually the owner, who is just this old, cranky lady, I don't know who she was. Although I'd be pretty old and cranky if someone was, ramming into my garage, their scooters. And she came out to try and yell at us, and we ran, bro. I guess I should say I ran. Nicholas was still standing there. I look back, he ain't even running. I'm like, bye, Nicholas. I mean, you're just dead weight at this point. I'm running. So I'm running up the street. Eventually, I see him running chase behind me. We get to his house. Well, I do first, run inside. He comes in after me. We slam the door shut, go and hide. So basically, his house has a crawl space under the stairs that's accessible through a closet. So we go and hide in there. Meanwhile, his dad answers the door with this person furiously knocking. And she tells him what happened, and then his dad yells at him, and I have to go home. And our parents make us write an apology letter, and then we have to go and give it to her and apologize ourselves. And I write mine, but I hide it under my bed, so my mom will hopefully forget about it. and then I just left it there, and she forgot about it. So that was cool. But he had to go and apologize. Be a responsible kid. Ew. And all right, we'll do one more story before we go. So, okay, let's be honest. We all had that kid who was the designated fat kid. I'm sorry, we did. We all had the fat kid. We know who he is or who she was. But in my story, it was a he. So, in this story, me and this kid, we're going to call him Bill. His name is not Bill, we're going to call him Bill. Bill and I both have scooters, just like I said in the story. I have a bike as well at this point, I think. And I was like, hey, you want to go ride bikes to a restaurant and go get something to eat? Now, for me, this is pretty normal, because I actually used to be on a triathlon team. So, for me, I could ride bikes like it was nothing. For him, especially being the designated fat kid, not so much. But he reluctantly said yes. And we rode for like maybe a couple miles, maybe, until we got there, and then we ate our food. But on the way back, especially because it was uphill, but he was dying, bro. Like, actually dying. And we stop at a Walmart to get him some water. And then we leave the Walmart. I'm like, hey, so you can make it home, right? By yourself? Like, I just wanted to leave. I did not want to wait for his slow ass. So I was like, you got it, man, right? And he was like, I mean, maybe. And I was like, okay, bye. And I just went home. I just completely left his ass in the Walmart parking lot. And eventually, like an hour later, he texted me, like, I made it home. I'm like, oh, that's great. I just had lunch. I took a shower. I took a nap. I did, like, all this shit, and it took him forever. And I just feel so bad. So, well, actually, his name isn't Bill, but I can't really say his real name because I don't want to. But if that kid's out there, you recognize the story? I'm sorry, man. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully you're doing better. I know you're kind of troubled. So, good luck with life. Anyways, that's going to do it for this story. Thank you all so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.